This is the Brewers POSTCAST, your instant game reaction for the Milwaukee Brewers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Multiple runners left on base, shaky defense, untimely errors, all equaling another road loss once again for your Milwaukee Brewers as they fall in game one of their three-game series to the Cleveland Guardians. This one by a final score of 5-0. The third time now in the last 11 games, your Milwaukee Brewers have been shut out. Good evening and hello, everyone. Welcome in to the Locked On Brewers postcast edition as the Brewers fall tonight. Thanks for always making the Locked On Brewers your first and now last listen each and every day. My name is Brandon Snide. A pleasure and the honor to be here with you this evening. You can follow me on Twitter at Brandon_Snide and follow all of my work over at WTMJ.com, covering all of Wisconsin sports. Lots to get to on the program tonight. The road woes continue for this Milwaukee Brewers team as they fall to an overall record of 20-22, 2 games under 500, and 8-15 on the road. We'll discuss that and exactly what that means going forward. And a simple question, and maybe you already asked yourself this, and it's something I woke up this morning asking myself. Is this just who we are? Is this just what the Brewers are going to be this year? Some bad Brandon Woodruff news. We'll get to that and the extent of that and what that means for this club going forward. You feel for Freddie Peralta tonight as he pitched only 5 1/3 inning. We're going to get to the reason I feel bad for him. And let's not wait any longer. We're going to get to all of yours, your guys' reaction. A lot of you are pouring in lots of reaction, a lot of frustrated Brewers fans, and rightfully so, as they fall to Cleveland by a final score of 5-0. I felt bad for Freddie Peralta, and I'll explain why. It's your turning point.
Time to reveal where the game was won or lost. It's the turning point.
Extra 2 nights of rest for Freddie with the sore groin. Tonight against Cleveland, I thought Freddie looked pretty good, right? I thought he was rolling. I thought he looked like the Freddie that, we had kind of grown accustomed to over the last few years. And it was unfortunate because the fourth inning is where the game was lost for the Milwaukee Brewers. And there's a few reasons why it was lost. But Jose Ramirez has a single in that inning. He stole second base. He stole third base. Gabriel Arias comes up. The bases eventually get loaded. There's a Bo Naylor walk. There's a Carlos Santana walk. And it felt like a routine fly ball out to Chourio out in center field. He completely misplayed the read on that. He came in when he should have went back. It was a StatCast had it. Adam McCalvey, one of the fantastic writers for Brewers.com, said that on his Twitter. He said StatCast had it at a 95% chance of being caught. Chourio misplays it off his glove, and the Cleveland Guardians wipe the bases clean. They score 3 runs. At that moment, if you have been paying any attention to this Milwaukee Brewers team, heck, if you paid attention to the Brewers over the course of the last week, you would know that a 3-run deficit in any game is pretty much a death sentence for this team losing that game. And that's exactly what happened. Cleveland takes a 3-0 lead. They never look back. The Brewers eventually fall tonight by a final score of 5-0. But I say I feel bad for Freddie Peralta for a number of reasons. Again, I thought he pitched fairly well tonight. Again, 5 1/3. He allowed 4 hits, 4 runs, and 4 Ks. So 4, the unlucky number for him tonight. But it was a memorable game for Freddie. Not only do I think he pitched well, and again, we'll get to a lot of your reaction on the YouTube chat. 1,000 career strikeouts tonight for Freddie Peralta. He joins a quite the list for Milwaukee Brewers. Giovanni Gallardo, Ben Sheets, and Teddy Higuera as the only guys to strike out that many wearing the Milwaukee Brewers uniform. Again, I feel awful because he deserved better. He deserved to get out of that 4th inning with nothing crossing the plate. I understand, that was the first point in the game that Freddie had gotten to a 3-ball count. I mean, he was dominating Cleveland for the most part. So you just feel bad for him as the Brewers lose 5-0 to the Guardians. They now fall 2 games under 500 by a final score of 5-0. Lots of reaction. A lot of Brewers fans, again, use this as your therapy. Let me hear your thoughts. Let me hear exactly what you guys are feeling. And we got a couple of reactions pouring in. Mitchell coming back is going to be our quote unquote trade. If this team continues, and that's from CJ, so thank you, CJ. If this team continues down this trajectory, and I don't see anything changing, the month of May has been abysmal. Over the last week, this team has averaged 2.7 runs. Now, that's just this last week, right? You go all the way back to game 1 against Houston last week, and they won 2 out of those 3 games, and they're still just a tick over 2.5 runs per game. This offense is abysmal. Lots of reactions still being poured on. Nick and Everydayer for the Locked On Brewers postcast. Please send help, Brandon. I wish I could, Nick. I just don't think I can do anything other than sit here behind a microphone and vent out my frustrations as the Brewers lose to the Guardians tonight, 5-0. Now 2 games under 500. Jason, also an Everydayer for the Locked On Brewers. Again, if you guys are over there on YouTube or if you're listening to this the following day, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, drop a thought. Let me know exactly what you guys are feeling. He says, hate to say it, but we suck big time this season. Cannot push runs through when players on base more often than not. And again, giving Freddie nothing. And that's kind of been the theme. Not only are they not giving Freddie anything, they're not giving anybody anything. And I think that from a pitcher standpoint, it's hard to go out on the mound. And I feel like, and again, I am not a pitcher in Major League Baseball. I've never pitched a Major League Baseball game. I stopped at the high school level playing baseball. But I feel like if you got to go into a game and you got to tell yourself, I got to be perfect, or we're not going to have a chance. The Brewers are now 0-14. Guys, 0-14 when they allow their opponents to score first. They have not won a single game yet when the opponents have scored first. When you are a starting pitcher or you're a bullpen pitcher for the Milwaukee Brewers right now, that's got to be in your head, right? That's got to be in your head. Like, I got to be perfect to give this team a chance, or we're SOL. And that's exactly what we're seeing. And that's exactly what this Brewers team is. Terry over on YouTube, they can't hit. And that's the problem. And Cody as well on YouTube, 11 left on base. That's atrocious. I don't want to single this guy out, but I'm going to have to. He's had a really bad start to May, and I've said really good things about him on the show, and I still believe in him. Caleb Durbin left 5 of those on base on his own. He had the bases loaded. He grounded out. And then he had, or popped out, whatever it was. And then guys on second and third, a few innings later, I believe it was 2 innings later, he had guys on second and third and then grounded out to shortstop. So that ended the threat. Again, situational baseball. I mean, you got to understand that in order to win games, and now we're 8-15 on the road, in order to win games, not only at home, but on the road, come playoffs, when you're competing for a division championship, you got to be able to plate runs, and you got to be able to have timely hitting. And that's the one thing that they did last year. Their offense was frustrating last year, but I felt like there was enough timely hitting within that team last year that we're just not seeing this year. And now it's equaling 2 games under 500. Don't look at the NL Central standings now. The St. Louis Cardinals going into tonight have now won 8 in a row. The Brewers are now in 3rd place in the NL Central. And I don't want to jump the gun and tell you to look at the standings and see what we're looking at, as far as, how many games back. It's still relatively early. There's still a lot of baseball left, but it does bring me to my next point. And this is a question I'm going to tease going into the next segment. Is this, if you're watching the Milwaukee Brewers, and most of you are fantastic, you pay attention to the Brewers. Thank you for always listening to this show, whether you're listening live or you go back and you listen to it in podcast form or watching it the next day on YouTube. Thank you as always. The Brewers are 20-22. All right. They're a quarter of their way into the season, 42 games into the season. I think at this point, it is completely fair to sit here and wonder if this is just who they are, right? The lack of consistency, the up and down pitching, bullpen here and there, hit or miss. Few guys have done well in the bullpen. The offense isn't great. There's some questionable managerial decisions, which happens every year. But when you win, those things kind of fall at the wayside, and you don't necessarily go back and nitpick every decision or every fault, failure. And this team, unfortunately, just cannot string together more than 3 wins in a row. And they've had opportunities. Their schedule has been relatively winnable. It's been favorable. A series against the White Sox, and you can't. Again, I'm not telling you that you need to sweep every team, or winning 3 in a row is hard, or winning 4 in a row at that point was hard. But when you have an opportunity, you got to play into your schedule. You got to play into the strengths of your schedule, especially as it tends to get tougher. And this year it's going to get tougher for the Milwaukee Brewers as they fall tonight to the Cleveland Guardians. This one by a final score of 5-0, now 20-22 on the season. Lots of more reaction getting poured in here on the YouTube. We'll get to all of that. Going to get to the player of the game, and I don't know if tonight's going to be one that you guys will guess if you're listening live on the YouTube channel. I'm not sure if you'll guess it. It's an interesting one. We'll get to the player of the game as well as the things that you'll be talking about tomorrow. That's all coming up right after this. Milwaukee Brewers losing 5-0 to the Cleveland Guardians, but that's okay because thanks to our wonderful sponsors at Monarch Money. Have you ever checked your bank account and wondered where did all your money go between dining out, online shopping, entertainment? Super easy to lose track. Maybe you're losing some money on FanDuel with this Milwaukee Brewers team. Well, that's where Monarch Money comes in, your personal CFO, giving you full visibility and control over your finances. Look, there's tons of these apps, but this isn't just a budgeting app. It's completely different. It's a complete financial command center. You can track all of your accounts, all of your investments, all of your spending in one simple place. So you just stop managing your money and you can finally start building your wealth. Look, I was hesitant. I opened up the app. I got into it, talked to a customer service rep. I realized just how much I was spending on food delivery. Now I can budget and save smarter. I know when my daughters are spending my money at Target. It's all in one convenience, easy collaboration. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use Locked On MLB at monarchmoney.com for 50% off of your first year. 50% off of your first year. That's better than what the Brewers are doing at the plate. 50% off your first year. That's monarchmoney.com. Code Locked On MLB for half off your first year. And while you're watching the Brewers tomorrow because they lost, maybe you can grab yourself a wonderful Pistachios bag. That's a snack that's both delicious and nutritious. Crack into a good source of protein with wonderful pistachios. Wonderful Pistachios is one of the highest protein nuts. Each 1 ounce serving has 6 grams of protein, giving you over 10% of your daily value. Plus, they're packed with fiber and better for you unsaturated fats to help you feel fuller longer. And check this out. 2 girls in volleyball, 1 in baseball, 1 in tumbling, 1 in track and field right now. We go through boxes of wonderful pistachios in our house in between practices, after practice, during track meets. It's good for you. It's healthy. It's easy. It's convenient. You just grab it and you go. There's no shell. Wonderful pistachios for that grab and go ease. Again, even at work, when you're running in between meetings and dropping off the kids like me, it's a perfect snack for on the go. Get snacking, you get cracking with a snack that packs a protein punch. Visit wonderfulpistachios.com. Again, that's wonderfulpistachios.com. Thanks to our wonderful sponsors of the program, Monarch Money and Wonderful Pistachios, as they try to make ease of this 5-0 Milwaukee Brewers loss. Lots of reaction being poured in over on the YouTube chat. Lots of Brewers fans upset with this Milwaukee Brewers team. Lots of Brewers fans wondering, where do we go from here? What's next? And rightfully so. You thought you had some good news with Brandon Woodruff and the return possibly this weekend. That was halted with an IL stint with a left ankle soreness. So no Brandon Woodruff if you're looking for some kind of positive news for this Milwaukee Brewers team as they lose again to Cleveland on the road. And the road woes, man, for the Milwaukee Brewers, 1-3 so far on this 6-game road stand. It's frustrating. The first 2 in Tampa Bay were equally frustrating. Tonight was frustrating because you thought Freddie Peralta had his stuff going early, and Jackson Chourio let him down in center field. And as great as Jackson Chourio is as a player, I think all of us can sit here comfortably and confidently say that was a letdown play from Jackson Chourio in center field that plated 3 runs when the game was 0-0 at 2 outs. And Freddie was close to getting out of that jam in the 4th inning, just couldn't get it done. And the Brewers lose 5-0, now 20-22 on their season. I teased my player of the game, was curious if you guys had some thoughts. I don't think you're going to get to my player of the game, so let's grab it and see what you got.
This is the Locked On Player of the Game.
Ben Lively was the starter for the Cleveland Guardians tonight, and during his warm-up in the 3rd inning, there was some experienced injury, something happened with him, and he left that game in that third inning. And I'm sitting here and I'm watching the game and I'm thinking, I thought maybe this might be my turning point. I guess it could be technically, but I thought it would be hopefully equally a turning point for a Milwaukee Brewers win, but it wasn't, because Jacob Junis, Kobe Allard, and Cade Smith all came in and completely shut down the Milwaukee Brewers. So my player of the game tonight, and you got to just tip your cap sometimes, other players, other organizations tonight, that's it for the Cleveland Guardians and their bullpen. I mean, completely dominating the Milwaukee Brewers. They didn't have runners in scoring position more than twice after Ben Lively left, and really had no chance. And again, when you saw the Brewers go down by a final, or not a final, but you saw them go down 3-0, they lose 5-0. That's the final. But when you saw them go down 3-0 in the fourth, I think every Brewers fan was probably like, yep, that's probably it. And sure enough, it certainly was. Jacob Junis comes in, old friend, shuts down the Brewers. Kobe Allard and Cade Smith, they're all getting my player of the game tonight as they shut down the Brewers offenses after Ben Lively, starting pitcher Ben Lively, goes out with an injury. The Brewers lose 5-0 to the Cleveland Guardians. We kind of talked a little bit about it. I want to get into exactly the things you're going to be talking about tomorrow.
This is what you'll be talking about.
And 22 on the season, 8-15 now on the road. I think it's safe to say, if you're a Milwaukee Brewers fan right now, that this just might be one of those years, right? I mean, they are lifeless. There's no energy. There's no good vibes. There's just nothing. There's nothing. Even when they've had bad years, down years, there was always something exciting to look into, to watch, to pay attention to, some type of storyline, some type of player, something, some kind of juice. I mean, there's nothing. There's nothing with this Milwaukee Brewers team right now. And as Greg says on YouTube, this crap team does nothing well except being injured. I can't argue with that. And I think you're absolutely right. And I think my job here, Greg, is to maybe look at the optimistic side of your comment, but you are right. You are right. And so is every Brewers fan that is going to come with that, anger and frustration, because that's what it is. This was a team that has been built around good defense, good pitching, timely hitting, threat on the base pass. Tonight, I think Cleveland just stole another base. I think they had Jose Ramirez had 3 on his own. I don't know what they finished the night with, but it was a double steal they had in the 7th inning. I mean, it was more than we're used to. It felt like we were watching the Brewers team from last year. It's kind of what it felt like when you're watching this Cleveland Guardians team tonight beat the Brewers 5-0. But yeah, you're absolutely right. They do nothing well, and I've mentioned that before. They can't win on the road. 8-15. They're shaky at home. Not much better. Their schedule is going to get tougher. You thought the silver lining was keep your head above water and see what happens when some of these guys come back. Brandon Woodruff has a setback. So now it's just, you look around and you just kind of sit back in your chair and you go, maybe this is just who they are this year. Maybe this is just who they are. This is just going to be one of those quote unquote years, injuries early, players underperforming. Was the loss of Willie that big of a deal? Was it a bigger deal than a lot of us, including myself, were willing to admit? We all knew it was a big loss. We all knew who he was on and off the field. 0-14 when a team scores first this year. You haven't won a game. You're not a playoff team. Can't win on the road. And if your opponent scores first, you crawl into the fetal position and give up. And that's what they do. And you can't tell me otherwise until they prove otherwise. You're getting embarrassed left and right. I mean, they don't just lose games. They get steamrolled. They get boat raced. I mean, 5-0 tonight against Cleveland Guardians, not technically a boat race, but a 1-0, deficit for this Milwaukee Brewers team pretty much signals the end. And that's unfortunate reality for this team as they lose to Cleveland 5-0. We'll see if they can bounce back tomorrow. Another early first pitch, 5:10 Central Time, as the 20-22 Milwaukee Brewers will be looking for a rebound. My name is Brandon Stein. Again, thank you to each and every one of you for always making Locked On Brewers your first and last listen each and every day. Every dayers, We appreciate you. If you're not subscribed to the podcast, hit that subscribe button, hit that like button. Follow us wherever you have social media. You can follow me on Twitter at Brandon_Snide. We'll talk again tomorrow, and hopefully this Brewers team can get things turned around. And again, win, lose, or draw, it is always go Brewers.